All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Tirza, and I have with me the lovely Amy. She is the founder of Women Who Create and Super Super. And she's an awesome person, and I'm so glad to have invited her to interview with me. I think she's going to have some really great things to say. So, Amy, kind of tell us your story and tell us kind of a little bit more about what you do and where you started and your journey.
Sure, okay. It's not simple, but the best things aren't.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. So I was actually just writing a bio for something else I'm doing. So this is really good timing, kind of jogs the path.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I'm based in the UK, in a small town called Nottingham, which is where I grew up. And I was lucky enough to have an early years Steiner Waldorf education. I don't know if you know much about that, but it's kind of a creative arts based kind of education, which was a little bit freestyle, but that's cool. And then I went into more of a mainstream English education where you kind of get creativity battered out of you from a young age. Then I studied knitwear in Brighton, which is a really cool city in the UK, really well known for kind of creativity and music and arts. So I was there for 10 years, and that's kind of where I found my first kind of creative path. And so I studied knitwear, and after that kind of went into trying to be a textile designer, which was quite difficult. It's a very self-motivated kind of career path, which I'm sure many of your followers who are entrepreneurs know that, just in general. So after a few years doing that, I was lucky enough to meet a friend who is still my best friend now. And we just completely clicked as soon as we met. I was kind of moving more into teaching, so I'd really found that my passion was for teaching handcrafts to small groups of people in Brighton. And that was kind of really connecting all the learning from when I was younger and from my degree, but less fashion, more handcrafts, hands-on skills, community kind of based stuff, which was amazing. So I met Claire, and we hit it off like a house on fire. She was a blogger. She was kind of a lifestyle blogger, and she did lots of kind of social media stuff. So literally, I knew her for maybe 6 months, and we decided to set up a studio together. So that's where Super Super came from. And that was a whirlwind, bloody hell. So we viewed buildings, and you know how sometimes things just happen and it's the right time. And we found this one building, and we just knew, right, this is Super Super, and this is what it's going to be. And it was a 3-story building we turned it into 2 stories for freelancers and creative business owners to run their business from, and the ground floor, a teaching space for us to run workshops, creative events, and for communities to rent out space. So that was amazing. That was hard work. We renovated the whole building. Luckily, we had some amazing friends to help us do that. And so we found that property in the October or November, and we opened it maybe 2 months later. And so we did that for 3 years. That had highs and lows. We worked with some amazing people. We got some quite big names in to come and to run workshops with us. That was amazing. And that really kind of set us on the path of where Super Super was going, and that was great. After 3 years, that kind of started to become a bit more difficult. The responsibilities of having a huge space and all the financial implications that came with that kind of took the joy out of it a little bit. So we decided that we were going to move on from the physical space and continue what Super Super was outside of that, which was kind of a relief at that point. We felt so like tied in by having this space. So once we decided to let that go, we could kind of pursue the actual passions behind what we wanted to do. And within that time, we had both grown hugely as like creative people and entrepreneurs, and had all this new kind of business acumen and knowledge that you would never have known just from going into it. So that was cool. That really helped us go, yeah, we need to change things up a bit now. So at that point, I moved back to my hometown of Nottingham, which is where I am now. And Claire actually later followed me. So she is also here, which is crazy. She's in the same town again, so we're not far away. And we are working on projects again together now. So since I've moved back here, I have developed Women Who Creates. So I really felt with Super Super that I was missing what I was actually passionate about. And that was kind of where I am now. It's kind of gone from kind of full circle, from being creative to that being drained away to now having a bit of a break and being able to re-find actually what that looks like. So that's really exciting. That's kind of the shortest way I could describe it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I'm sure you felt this, like Super Super was such an awesome thing, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, it's, you know, that's an awesome thing, why are you letting it go? And yeah, I'm sure there was a struggle in that too, like letting something go to have something better.
Absolutely. And I think also, because people have seen you do it, and often if you make things look too easy, or if you don't share the hardship behind that, then when you say, oh, we're not doing it anymore, they're like, but why? And it's like, well, if only you knew that I was drilling holes in the ceiling this morning to let the water drain through where the bathroom had overflowed in our studio, like maybe you'd think twice about setting up a studio, you know, like
right.
And that's you know, we were young and we didn't share those things, but now like I think it's so important to share all of this stuff. Like you need to, don't make it look all shiny and new if it's not. Like people need to know the reality and how hard you work for these things. It's not easy.
No.
And that makes it more valuable ultimately.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So tell me a time that you felt kind of in your journey through all this, and you know, there's multiple times I feel like in all our journeys of where you kind of got stuck, and kind of what you did to kind of get out of that place.
Yeah. That, I think, when we closed the studio, although there was a huge sense of relief, and financially that saved our skins, as you know. After that, the period between us closing the studio and me moving here, that was the time that I struggled the most in, right, who am I now? I've worked for like the past 10 years doing all of this stuff, but what does that look like in this new space? So definitely in the past, I'd say the first 6 months before we moved back here, me and my partner, and then up until probably about, I've been here maybe 14 months now, so I'd say about the first 8 months being here was really, really difficult. And I had to remember that in the essence of things, I was kind of starting my business from scratch again, because although we had the online following for Super Super, I rebranded all of that, and I changed that, and I really needed to find what Super Super was and what parts of that I wanted to continue with, and what I wanted to leave behind. And that's kind of where Women Who Creates has come. And at the moment, I'm super excited about it all, and I feel definitely like Super Super has its place and Women Who Create has its place, but there's still like days when I'm like, oh, but what's that, and where does this fit, and you know, it's and that's totally like, it works in cycles. Like 1 week I'll be like, oh my god, I'm so excited, I feel under control with everything and I've ticked all the boxes, and then the next day I'll just be like, oh god, it's raining, I've got to go and collect a delivery, and I've got a workshop that nobody's booked onto. Like, you know, it's that balance. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard starting something new. I think that's really brave to, you know, let go of something that was good, but and then starting something new. I think there is that time of like, what am I doing? Am I crazy? You know?
Yeah.
is this right? And so
I think it took me a while to kind of realize and appreciate that although I thought I was just carrying on, from the outside it looked like I'd completely stopped and had started something new. So it kind of really took a while for me to think, oh yeah, no, people don't know what I'm thinking and why I've done all of this stuff. So it's important to share all
right,
of that.
right. And it's something I
Excuse me.
think, yeah, you're fine. I
Sorry.
think it's something that we, from the outside, yeah, it looks like you're like cutting it off and starting something new.
Yeah.
And you're like done with it. But I think in reality, it's, especially in each of our thought processes, it's really a continuation of, our passions. And it's, so yeah, I think it is super important to share so people can, understand that and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, it makes sense, the journey, now that I've heard. So.
And also we can't be passionate necessarily about the same things throughout the whole of our lives. Like,
right.
I know myself, my like ethical viewpoint, my political beliefs, all of these things change with new information when it comes in. So that has to reflect where I am in my business and what I want to do with that, and how for me I can bring that more into my work. And I think that's where the movement from Super into Women Who Create is kind of reflecting that. Like, it's reflecting that I'm not just teaching craft workshops anymore. I want to teach craft workshops that bring communities together. And I've just started to talk to a charity in Nottingham that works with young adults who self-harm, and I'm trying to look at how I can build a program to help with the therapeutic values of kind of craft, and how that can bring them together and calm them and whatever, it's so it's completely changed from the start, when I was like making pom-poms, and like, don't get me wrong, I still make loads of pom-poms, but I was making them for a different reason. And I think the why has changed.
That sense of purpose is I think a lot of entrepreneurs, I definitely have that, that deep need for purpose, and that we're giving back, I think is is such a deep need. And sometimes we ignore it because we think like, oh, we'll never get to that place, or oh, we're we have to start this, and so
the expectations of other people come in, or you need to be seen to be earning a certain amount, or you need to own this. And I mean, I think it's bullshit, but I think I'm on the same page with you. Like, for me, my favorite time is when I've got time to go and plant some garlic in my raised bed, or like meet with somebody and share this new thing, or that connecting, using your hands, and like and connecting with people. Like, for me, that's what my creative business ultimately is about.
So you've worked with a lot of creatives and a lot of artists over the years. What do you think is where do you think people get stuck when they're trying to work through their creativity, and kind of what obstacles do you personally, and then what you see in other people?
I think this relates back to the previous thing that I was just talking about. I think people see this shiny thing, this kind of lifestyle that they want, and I think they don't understand how much of that is not real, firstly, and how much has come before that to get those people to that place. And I think people I think they get stuck on the idea of something, and that it needs to be perfect. And I think that a lot of people compare themselves too much to other people, and I'm worried too much about this fear of missing out, that they have to do everything, it has to be the best, it has to be like Instagram worthy. And like, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely a culprit for putting a filter on stuff, we all are, but fear of missing out definitely makes me take on way too many things. I know myself, that's what I do. That's one of my biggest problems, is that I don't know when to switch off. My creative business is my passion, but that means that sometimes I'm working at 11 o'clock at night and I started at 6 in the morning, and I've got a part-time job too. So where does it all fit in? So definitely taking too much on, not giving or asking for help. Recently, asking for help was such a big breakthrough for me. I started working with a creative coach, Els, who I think you know, and that was a life changer for me. That was the first time I invested into myself personally, and like that changed my life. It was really good, helped me kind of see things from a different perspective. And yeah, also I just think taking time out, like, and saying no to things. I think when we closed the studio, that was the year that I'd started to say no to things, and that came with its own obstacles, but ultimately that was amazing. That was really liberating to be able to say no, actually, friends, family, colleagues, whatever, actually this is my time and I can't fill every single hour with something. There needs to be time to stare at a wall, there needs to be time to have a nap, or, you know, go for a walk. And I think I still struggle with that now. Like, I'm going to go for a walk after this because I need to. I haven't been out of the house, you know, like, you feel in yourself when you're like, right, something's not right. What is it? Right, the sun's out, I'm going for a walk. Yeah. So I guess there's and it does change, like obstacles change. I guess it depends on what's coming up in your calendar, or like what amazing projects or events you've got on. Yeah, it's learning to discern, you know, what's gonna be beneficial to others and to yourself. And burnout, like, I know when I get burnout, and I went to a great conference a couple of weekends ago, and we had the speaker who just talked about recognizing burnout, and some of the things she was saying, I was just like, oh my god, yeah, that's me. What am I doing? That's me. And like, just noticing like physical things and mental things, and like if you're not sleeping, or if you're like getting unnecessarily pissed off at things, or like, you know, there's little things that you really do need to notice, like if you're not eating properly, if you're not moving your body, it all kind of accumulates, and then, you know, you're no good to anybody, you're no good to yourself. So yeah. And I'm sure for you, shutting down Super Super was kind of like, oh, the world didn't fall apart when I ended something and I said no. Yeah, and we both got really ill straight away.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
we got ill, and oh god, you know, your body is just like, go. Oh no, wait, we've stopped. Oh, that was it. Yeah, that was it.
Time to shut down.
Yeah, time to shut down. And that's the same now. If I stop, if I haven't been looking after myself continuously, when I stop, that is it. I'm just out for a week, which I don't have time for. Right. Yeah. So it's better to look after yourself as you go along, I think. Yeah. It is. Yeah, definitely. So what do you do when, I know you mentioned you go for a walk and you like to garden. So what kind of things do you do, and to really gain clarity if you know, are stuck, or you want to come up with a new idea, or what kind of things do you do to kind of get out of your element? This is also a work in progress, but I'm always having all these things going around in my head, and it's too much, and you know, you can't do it all. So if I know that I'm freaking out, if I know that I'm being so unproductive because there's all this stuff going in my head and there's absolutely no clarity, I just try and write it all down. Just get a piece of paper, write everything down, all these ideas, all these projects, just stupid things, lists, whatever just is in my head. And then once I know that it's all out of my head and I've written it down, I can then just kind of put that to one side and go, right, I need to take a step away from my computer. I need to take a step away from social media. I need to, again, go for a walk, go meet a friend for a coffee, and just talk about the work, maybe, if it's with a business kind of bestie, or if it's not, then just talk about something completely different that's unrelated, and just kind of try and reconnect with why, again, that I want to do these things. And even the other week, I was at that point again, and I just thought, right, why is it that I'm freaking out? And I hadn't made anything for ages, and I hadn't got a project on the go just for the sake of making something with my hands and crafting, which is, you know, where I come from. So I just picked up a little loom and I just started making a little weave, and it's not my best work. It's not for any reason other than I just needed to sit and I needed to just make something and have a go. So definitely making something for the sake, not with for no sake, just for the sake of using your hands. And kind of, for me, it's a really therapeutic kind of process, like craft, creating. It unlocks something inside you. I have to think about it, and it's just really, yeah, meditative. Friends, going for a walk. Again, if the weather's good, just getting in the garden is one of my favorite things. Our garden is tiny, but if I can get some soil under my fingernails, then I know that it's been a good day.
I agree.
Yeah.
This last Saturday was nice out. It's been, yesterday was miserable. It was so rainy.
Oh God, yeah.
But yeah, I've finally been able to plant my flowers, and
Yeah.
there is something so therapeutic about getting your hands dirty. And
do you have vegetables too, or flowers?
I do. Yeah, I have flowers, and then I have we have some garden beds in our backyard.
Yeah.
So I have yet to plant those yet. I was going to plant them inside first. But yeah, I'm so excited. Watching things grow is like so
it's the best.
fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, and I find that really relates to like my personal growth. That sounds so corny, I know, but it's that time of year. It's spring. Like, you've had the crappy like winter months where everybody's like hibernating and they're tired and they're cold and like everybody's really grumpy, and you know, and then spring comes, and like we were saying earlier about it getting lighter in the morning, like nature starts to bloom, and then like that inspires you as well. I read something the other day as well, actually, about having plants around you. The color green apparently is the color of imagination. So apparently having plants around you, or one that you can see, like I've got a nice one just here, is very inspirational. So if you haven't got a plant in your vision, get one in your studio space.
I totally agree. I have plants everywhere. I love, especially in the cold months, the dark months. They don't do so well when they come inside, so I feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
But they're going to be happy pretty soon because I'm going to put them all back outside. But yeah, having plants and something living that you have to take care of, other than yourself, and let and if they die, then learning to be okay with that.
Oh my God, I'm not okay with it. I feel like I've lost a limb. I'm like, oh God, don't die.
I know, I get really sad.
Yeah, I've got one at the moment that's looking a bit ropey. I'm not sure what's the best thing to do for that, but
you just got to tell it, you're going to live. You're going to live.
Oh, you're going to live. I'll put some music on for you. They like music, I think, or talking.
I told one of my plants, because it was getting droopy, and I'm like, you're going to live, and it's doing pretty well. So.
Oh, I'm gonna try that.
Positive talk.
I've got a staghorn fern, and for some reason the last one died as well, and this one I was like, I'm gonna give it a second go. Yeah. I think maybe it needs to be outside as well.
Yeah, some just do better outside.
Yeah.
So what would you tell someone, I'm changing gears a little bit, but what would you tell someone who's, watching this, wanting to restart? Because I think that's just as terrifying as starting again.
Yeah.
Because you are starting over, but you're not starting over in a way. One of the profound moments, I was in counseling, and a side note, it has to do with this. And I was like, because I've started and restarted things before, previous to this. And I think it's just a part of the journey. And I was telling my counselor, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start all over. I'm going to start all over. This is going to, I've worked so hard at, what I've been doing, and I have to start all over. And she's like, you don't have to start over. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, all this work you've done is just what you're doing is a continuation. And she's like, don't start over. I don't know what you're talking about. And so that was a turning point for me, and helped me with overwhelm, because I was just feeling so overwhelmed, so stuck. Like, oh, I just better stay here because it's going to be so hard, because what I've been doing was hard. And so that was a real turning point for me. Like, oh, I don't have to start over. So I think there's a lot of people that are watching this that, fear of starting over, fear of starting something, especially something creative, especially something that's out of the norm. So what advice would you give, and what would you say to them?
I totally agree with that whole thing, that everything you've done previously is the experience that's just led you to where you are now. So you're never starting again. You're always building layers upon layers, aren't you?
Right.
So as I was building the website for the Women Who Create project, I found this amazing quote from Oprah, obviously, and she said, "Follow your passion, it will lead to your purpose." And I was like, oh my god, this is my passion project, and it's helped me find my purpose. So that for me was really quite a game changer. I just thought, well, all of the things that I've done previously, the only way that they've succeeded is because I was so passionate about them that I immersed myself in them, and I knew that was going to be the next thing for me, and it meant that I was willing to go that extra step. But in the same vein, I definitely think if you're stuck, the best thing to do is to take a step back and zoom out and just look at actually what is it that you want in your life, and how can what you are going to do kind of enrich that, and how can it get to that without kind of having to think about all the little tiny bits that kind of go into it to make it, because that's when you freak out and you get overwhelmed and you're like, well, it's too much for one person to handle. So if you kind of get back to kind of your core kind of, I don't know, ethical things or like ideas about where you see yourself, I guess it's the vision, isn't it? Right. And I have a huge problem with like visioning, like, oh, where do I want to see myself in 10 years? I'm not good at that at all. But I know that there's a little bit of an idea of how I want to help people and how I can see what I've done previously, where that's going. So I don't know if that makes sense. Like, just taking a step back and simplifying what you've got there already, I think is really, really important. And what brings you joy, like if it's not joyful, if you are already working a part-time job or you have something else on the go that's your main job and you're doing this other project on the side, like that needs to be enjoyable as well. That needs to fill you with like total energy and like joy to get up every morning and go and do the other job and then come back and do the passion project in your spare time, because otherwise why are you doing it? There's obviously an element of hard work to it, because if it wasn't difficult then it wouldn't be worth doing, but
right.
You've got to feel passionate about it. And does that make sense?
Yeah. And I think a part of that passion is it comes from the root of to suffer. And and I think there is a part of suffering or in pursuing something that you're passionate about, and not that that's a bad thing, like, oh, I don't want to suffer, but I think there is an element of, if you're so truly passionate about it, you're willing to take those, work those
the extra hours and the extra steps.
Right, in those times when it's needed, and so that one day you can work towards more of that freedom. But I think that's
and
right.
I agree. And I also completely advocate asking for help. If you're stuck, ask for help. Somebody else will know something different than what you know, and even if it's not the right thing, their experience or expertise can shift your mindset and maybe help you move forward to a different place that you maybe hadn't planned to go. But help in whether that is like working with a coach, which for me has been a life changer, or joining a community group. Like I'm part of the Etsy leadership team in Nottingham, and we do loads of events that are free, where we do training for women in business and guys, and we offer like reviews, and we do a craft fair every year, and like it's a real community. And I don't always know the answer to some of the technical questions or whatever they're asking me, but they feel like they're part of this group and they can ask these questions, and we can go away and we can help them with what we know. And so again, like having a community, having a group of people that you can go and bounce ideas off, or even just say, I'm freaking out, what do I do? Or, you know, that's so important. Oh my God, don't freak out on your own. It's the worst. You'll go and get like a bad haircut, or like, I don't know, something bad will happen.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, before you do anything crazy, ask for help.
Check in with somebody who knows you really well and knows what the hell you're talking about in your business, because often I say stuff to people and they look at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I think especially with, so for the Women Who Create event, which I'm running in June, I'm launching like this new project, this new tool that I've been developing for the past few years. And when I try and explain it to people, I think because I'm a bit nervous about where it's going and what it actually is, I like start saying all this stuff, and people get really confused, and you know, it's just like, you need to check in with people who actually know where you're coming from to get it kind of straight. And then I think after that, it kind of gives you the freedom to go out and with a bit of confidence in what you're doing. Super important. Yeah,
to get the outside perspective of someone who understands and, you know, speaks the language of, it's a different language. And I think, you know when you have it. And
and also they can tell you if you are being completely crazy and you need to chill out.
Right.
Like, that's important too. Like, you know, friends of mine have said, right, you need to take a day off. Like, you need to have a day off. And that's super important. I need that on a regular basis. I need for like the computer not to be on. I need for, like, even if it's doing chores, like home chores, like somebody needs to tell me, right, stop doing whatever this crazy craft thing is that you're doing, or like stop trying to email 10 people at one time. Like, you need to go out.
Having those people that are honest. Honesty, because I think there's a difference. I was watching an interview with Oprah and Brene Brown, and she was talking about this.
I was probably watching it and crying it at the same time.
And Brene was interviewing Oprah, and she was saying, you know, like, I think one of the questions was like, who do you go to when you have all these criticisms and, you know, especially being a huge public figure, how do you sift through that? And she said, you know, I have people that are really brutally honest to me, and I listen to them, and they're able to sift through all the pieces of, you know, her life and the people that tell, you know, and are able to discern, you know, what's good and what is not helpful. And so having those people in your life that are going to tell you the truth and be like, hey, you need to quit it. What you're doing is going to harm you.
Yeah.
Or your idea is, you know, think of another one, you know. I think those are great people to have that are going to be truthful and, you know,
truthful but kind. I find like they don't want to take you back a step by being like brutally honest and too brutal.
They're truthful in a loving way, because they really, I think, they're people that really care about what you're doing. And so that deep care and that love, you know, reflect in like, I want to see you succeed. And so latching on to people like that, I think is
I read a really interesting, I can't remember what it was in, an article the other day, and it was saying, don't ask your family for feedback, ask your business kind of besties, and because, you know, although your family are there to give you love and support, whatever you do, they're not necessarily going to be helping you. They're not going to be giving you subjective advice and like helpful, creative, like business advice. They will like champion you, or they just won't get it. Like, you know, your family's amazing, but that doesn't mean they understand you like all the time.
Right.
So I thought that was really valuable, because I've had situations in the past and I've been like, Dad, look at this new thing that I've made, it's awesome. And he's like, is that a bit of string tied onto a stone? Like, what's going on here? Like, you know, like, different people's kind of perspectives of what you're doing is it was a bit too abstract. You know, often ideas can be a bit too abstract for people, or items that you've made, they're like, oh, it's not my style, like I totally wouldn't do that. And that might set you back, that might stop you from pursuing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is really important, to go to certain people for certain things and kind of highlighting who those people are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And not expecting that everybody can be everything. They can't.
Yeah. No. Nope. Before we end, is there anything else that you would like to say that's on your heart, or you feel like you want to say to kind of end out, and then we'll go into talking about, and then you can go on talking about your free gift offer.
Yeah. So I think it comes back to what I was saying about passion projects, and just, you have to do the thing that feels like the best, the shiniest, most exciting thing, and make a mess doing it. It's not going to look Instagram perfect. It's not an idea that's, you know, they're not finished straight away. They need work. And I think people forget that it's the process that is so important. It's not the finished project. It's not the finished product. It's the process, not the outcome necessarily, that kind of is so valuable, that kind of is who you are, and you take away so much from that. It's not just, oh, you need it to be this shiny thing, you need it to be this like event or whatever. It's like the learning along the way that I've definitely realized is, you know, really, really important. Making a mess, trying things. If you're scared to do it, it's got to be worth doing. And, you know, just give it a try. Join a community. If you wanted to try something new, go to a class, or join a free community, and like go out and be creative and make something. There's always like free workshops around. There's always like free groups you can join online, or like e-courses or something like that. There shouldn't be a barrier to your creativity. Like, look inside, stop relying on what other people are doing, kind of try and like find something that makes you tick. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
Don't get too freaked out about your favorite Instagram account. Just don't look at it. If you're getting freaked out, turn your Instagram off for a while. It's not worth it. You know?
Yeah, definitely not worth it.
Stop comparing yourself. It's really hard, don't get me wrong. I look at things and go, oh, I want to do that. I want to have this like flat lay. I want this situation to be my life. You've got to work for it though, haven't you? Like, there's no point in just getting sad that you haven't got X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of times I think Instagram and, you know, social media only tell one side of the story. And I think it's
like we were saying earlier,
important to realize that.
Yeah, they don't show that like often you're working all day in your pajamas, or like you're running from errand to errand and you haven't got any makeup on, or like you've just spilt something on your laptop, or like, you know, the hardships that have got you there like over the past 10 years, or like the exciting random things that have happened that you weren't expecting, or the people that you've met that kind of have got you there. That's all like your experience. It's not shown there. I think, that's why connecting with these communities, you can learn more behind the person and why they're where they are, instead of just looking at where they are now.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Well, if you want to go into your talk more about your free gift and about that.
Yeah, okay, cool. So I recently designed some planner pages, so like weekly organizational project-based planner pages. So I am going to be giving those away, and it's PDF, and you can print it in full color, or it's really pretty in color, or black and white, and it's basically one sheet, and it's two sheets. One sheet with kind of like a weekly Monday to Sunday schedule with like 3 different project columns, because I'm sure that most people have like loads of different jobs and things going on, so you can really clearly put where you are, and there's another sheet, and that's all about focusing your social media scheduling for that week. So you can put in the different platforms that you need to schedule with, and then your main kind of prompts for the week. And I found that really helpful, and it's quite nice and clear. It's not too fussy. It's just like simple, lots of space to write and make notes, and you just flip it open and you know that you've got your social media on that side, and you've got the rest of your week and what that looks like. And yeah, it's super helpful.
Awesome.
I find, but I designed it, so obviously I'm biased. But I think for a person who's got loads of stuff going on in their head, I definitely designed it for the same kind of person in mind.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, and then the link will be below us. And so I encourage you to check her out and download that to get organized. I think getting organized, and especially doing that.
Important.
Yeah, especially if you're really scatterbrained like I am in the head. Having that visual, I think, is so helpful.
So, I mean, you can see behind me just how many like yearly planner one, like quarterly planner, like all of these things here. Like I've narrowed down on so many lists this year, but now it's just all on the wall instead. So I don't know if that's better or worse. It's definitely not a pile on my desk anymore, which is easier to see.
Yeah, I have my calendar on my wall. It's a big whiteboard. So yeah, I'm definitely that visual learner.
Yeah. Oh my God, me too.
I need that reminder on my wall. So
yeah, this is really sad, but my boyfriend came home from work the other day and he's like, I've got you a gift. Now, I'm sorry if it's really boring. And I was like, oh, what is it? And it's behind me, and it's literally an A1 pin board, a cork board. It's massive. And I don't think he was anticipating just how excited I was about this. It's huge, and it's like all my dreams come true. So this afternoon, after I've been for a walk, I am going to get some washi tape on that. I'm going to get all my I've just got this little tiny small one just up here, and this one is just blown my mind. I think he was really freaked out at how excited I was about it. He knew how much I love, he knows how much I love organization, but yeah, it's little things. So
it is the little things. Pinboard.
A pinboard.
That is exciting. So I need one of those.
It's
I don't
huge.
have one yet.
And it was free, so go on FreeCycle or whatever places you have over there to get free stuff, and yeah.
Oh yeah, get creative, put things. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yay. I would get really excited too.
Yeah, that's why I've got no wall space, because I see these things and I'm like, oh, that's going to be really helpful. I can write my blog posts on there. Yeah, I just put it on the wall. It fills up.
I love that. Well, I'm just gonna close out. I've really enjoyed talking with you, and so I just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story and being really vulnerable in that. And I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that. So.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think at one point in my career, it was all about who could get ahead, and now it's help each other, for goodness sake. The more you help each other, the further everybody will go. And like meeting you, that's an amazing new connection. So exciting. So the more people you can connect with, the better.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.